Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. This is going to be on YouTube for the weekly outlook to my YouTube viewers. I will also be sharing this entire week of video with you guys because next week, Monday, we're starting a live course. So if you can help share it so more people hear about it, that would be great. If you're one of the people who are thinking of joining us, you should probably do that now because you'll have access to the live course immediately. We only do these courses once or twice a year. Last year, we didn't do it at all. So because of the epidemic and all that. So this year, now we're going to do one. I have no clue when we're going to do another one. These are not planned program courses. It's the basis of this whole group is not just to sell courses. So careless. Doesn't mean we weren't in our group last year. We were here every single day actively trading. And we will be here this entire year actively trading in the group. Traders are making money and they're doing well. We're not going anywhere. I've seen a few people on Facebook, on YouTube said, hey, welcome back. I haven't gone anywhere. My group is here functioning. Hundreds of traders are trading every day live with me. So we aren't going anywhere. We have been here all the time. Might have been off YouTube for a short while. That was when I was sick. But now we're back and everything is great. So let's go. If you're one of the people who would like to join, this is the best time because you can join anytime, but you will miss the live course, which gives you practice sessions. You get at least 2 weeks of live practice with me and with my top traders. And that is good for you because that gives you a good start, right? If you're thinking that you can't afford to take the course now, my advice to you is join the installment program because many people who've joined it last year are already in the course. A lot of them already in the group making money. So you can make your decision whether you want to join it or not. Let's go. Let's start. Let's go on with the webinar now. So if you were following me from the start of this week, remember what we said. I think we were in the start of this year for that. I think we were in this consolidation. And I said this consolidation, regardless of whether it break the low or not, and we were expecting it to break the low, is going to go up. And it will break the top. And we were buying it we were selling a lot of trades down. We were buying and selling inside of the consolidation. We were buying this up. So if you were in our group, you would have got some really great trades. Here is what happens when it breaks the top. Two things can happen. It can continue to go to this top, which is going to happen eventually, or you can make a sharp pullback like this and then go. Now, if you're a wave analysis trader, you immediately see what I'm showing you. What I'm showing is the possibility of a larger running flat that could build here before it goes. Now, it doesn't matter to us whether it does this or not, or when it does this. We know of the possibility. The idea is understanding and knowing what could come. Now, each step of development, we're going to track. So if it consolidates here for a buy, we will buy. If it consolidates for a buy, we'll buy. If it consolidates for a buy, we'll buy. And we will keep buying it if it keeps going up. But if we notice that it's dropping here and you're getting sell setups, we will also take them for this possibility. Like we were selling in this for that same possibility. Some of the trades were just break-even trades, but that's okay. If you know that this possibility exists, you will go for that. I don't think we're going to come back here. I think we'll just make this one and go. Now, you might not be able to see that because you don't understand wave analysis, but I can show you one here. When we were in this move here going up, we were expecting a sharp move down like this, and we got it here. See? Pretty similar structure. If you expect the move, if you know you can get it, then you expect. We also know that when this stops, it's going to go back up because it has to do this. Which means when this stops, it has to go back up to the top there. Now, you can go and say whether you would look at this as a running flat, but I would not. There are many reasons, but this one could be a running flat, and there's a different reason for that as well. If you want to make an argument that this one is similar to this with separate corrections in them, okay, we can go with that. You can go with separate corrections as long as they look like this and go back up, right? What you call it and how you label it is your problem. My problem is what it could possibly do, right? The name is irrelevant. What it could possibly do and what it should do next if that happens. So we're expecting a deeper pullback at some time. Is it going to be now? I don't care. I don't know. I know it's possible coming. So I'll be tracking this at the top here. We were buying this. We're looking for buy setup still. If I see like this changing from a buy setup to sell setup, we'll start to sell. Could it? Possibly, yes. There's a good chance this could be your sell setup here today, right? And that means we'll be selling because it could make a sudden drop and then start to make pullback and keep dropping like this. So we really don't have a sell setup at the moment, unless we're looking for running flat. But if it pulls back a little, if this pulls back a little here and give me a sell setup, we'll take it. Now, we would have to look at this pattern on the 15 minutes to see whether it's a complete sell setup. And maybe it is. I'll not go into that details here. We'll do that in our trading room. And just in case you're asking, you're now watching the video, you mean what I mean by our trading room? We do have a live trading room that is live 5-6 times a day. Like when I came in this morning, there were traders there. Most morning before I come in, they will be looking at trades. Some morning, depending on how the morning is, some traders, there's an Asian session and I will join them for a session like this, which is early. Then we'll do a London session, and then we'll do a mid-London session. There are always traders in the room trading. And then we'll do a New York session. And after the New York session, there's another session that's done by, most times by my traders. I try to be in the room as often as possible, maximum 5 times, minimum 3 times I'm in the room a day. So that's what we do. We haven't gone anywhere and we're not going anywhere. So this would be something we'd look at in the 15 minutes and decide whether we want to get in trade early or whether we'll wait for a complete setup to get in the trade. I don't think it's complete. I think it'll probably stay here a while and then we'll get a sell setup. Can this become a buy? Now, we're looking for a seller. If you're not wave analysis trader, you may say, well, this thing is going up. If this changes by going back to the top here and then come down, this is a sell, but we will not sell it because that is making a flat and that means we're buying. I explained that a few times when we were doing these, right? When we were doing these, what would become the buy and what would be the sell. So at the moment, it's a sell setup, short-term sell setup, possibly starting the big move. I don't know that. If it does, we will be in the trade. But if they can pull back to the top here and then come back here, that's a sell setup. And this is why you have to know wave analysis. You have to understand patterns because then you would know that what you were looking for has changed. And now you should be looking for the buy setup and you'll probably get a very good buy from a much lower point, a better entry. Let's go. Silver, great. Remember I was telling you this is going to drop. That was a sell. This was a sell. And you had about 3 more sells here along the way. And this is a sell and you're probably getting another sell here today. They're all short-term sells. This would be a short-term sell. This one you would have to be very careful of right now because all this has to do is break the low and it can turn to the upside. Now, there is a case where it could go much lower. We don't know how low, but eventually it will probably go back up. So if you're going to look for the sell here, you have to watch it very carefully. Now, you may say, well, why are you looking for a sell here if dollar is going to go down, right? Well, this could still do this and drop while dollar is in consolidation. And then probably go back up. So we don't know when and how they're going to fall. We look at each pattern individually. Is it a short-term buy? Yes, it is. Would you take the buy? I don't know. We will consider that. If it's a short-term buy, it's only for this to give you a flat. Come back here, make a flat, and then drop. That'll be a perfect sell setup like this. That was a short-term sell, but all it did was come here and then go back up. We knew that was going to happen. Which means if this goes up a little, I'm not worried about it. Could it become a buy from this point to the upside? I'm not expecting that to happen because we actually are breaking out of this pattern. But if it is going to happen, it has to come up here, make a correction. Only then I'll consider the buy. And only at that point, I'll decide, well, this is a buy setup and we're having a contracting flat in the middle. Otherwise, to that, we're going to retest this low and then upside. So which is it? We'll see. Right now, it's a sell setup. That changes, I'll let you know. Since you're going to be with me the whole week, you will actually see this step by step. You have seen it last week, not last week, the week before, when I did the free week, this step by step of how we look at the patterns and how we change them. There is where we are in another sell setup. We were looking for the buy and I expected this to go up. It didn't go. We didn't get that. We didn't sell it either, because there were no good sell setup for us. We sold the silver, which was good. It doesn't matter which you sell, as long as you get one that has the higher probability of going. So these were buys. Now we're here, and can silver actually still go up? I still think it's possible, right? We're still looking at, gold. It could still go up. If you look at this as a possible running flat, then you can still get this up move. There are running flats like that. So if it consolidates here, we will sell. Now we will sell this if we get a consolidation, a bigger consolidation here for one more drop to the low. That would change the entire structure. The way we look at the structure, the way we look at the pattern will change. We'll be looking for different patterns because this one would be having a bigger three-wave structure inside of it. If it goes up from here, that is okay. You'll still look at this as a running flat, and this would go up, make a new high, and then will come down, right? So is this move possible, especially if we think dollar index could come down somewhat? Then that is possible. So we'll keep an eye on this for maybe upside. So you will say, well, why could silver go down a little? And this could stay in consolidation, silver could fall. Silver doesn't have to go a lot. It just have to do this much, break this low, and then go right back up. Right, we'll be looking at this as the end of the whole structure when you come back here and then go. Because you'll be breaking these lows. That's all, not a lot more down. So keep your eyes on it and we'll see. Do we have a sell setup here today? No, we don't. There isn't a sell setup. There also isn't a buy setup as yet. If this is going to stay here, it'll probably consolidate much more. You know, we'll probably see more consolidation. And then if you're going to get a sell, this is what it look like. A buy, you need to spike up, do a flag, and then we'll buy. Make a flag, and then we'll buy. So we don't really have any setups on this as yet. It's still consolidating. Well, we've started to sell on this. Back to the downside, and let's see how far this takes us. You're getting a good sell setup here right now, which means you're getting a bigger flat forming here. A bigger flat should be a better move, give you a bigger impulse to the downside. Watch it when it comes to this level here. It could still go back up, but I think likely we're going to break through. So we'll keep an eye on it. It's either a running flat for one more up, which means at this level here, I'll take this out from here. From this level here, you could get one more up and then the big drop, or you will come here and then go back up and then the big drop. So it's either an expanding flat or running flat at this point. It breaks the low, become an expanding flat and upside. It just comes to about this level. It will be a running flat and upside and then drop. Can it totally drop? Well, I'm not expecting a contracting flat. If it totally drops, it means we'll be looking at this as a contracting flat. And we're not looking at it that way as yet. That would be the last option of what we'll go for, right? So here is another pace where I think the traders were getting confused. A few traders right me and said, why you keep saying it could be this pattern, that pattern? Well, it could be because what you have right now looks like this. If what you have right now looks like this, your assumption is that it's going to do this. But what if it does this? Then your assumption is you're going to do this and you're going to do this, right? You're looking at this more as this pattern in the middle and then this pattern here, right? This is this one is going up, then this one will go up. So you look at it like that. But what if it doesn't do that? What if this piece here, instead of coming down straight, starts to do this here now in the middle? Now you have this, you have this, you have this. You probably even come back here and then go. So as it's developing, each piece will tell you what the pattern will look like and whether it's going to change structure as it looks. The bigger structure stays intact. The smaller one, like we were expecting this, when it was here to break down to this level and then go. It actually broke the top, no big deal. It could be 1, 2, 3 and still go. Right, the same thing. When you were here, you would expect this to go. Then it came down more, you're expecting it to go. It came down more, you're still expecting it to go. That has not changed. Just the patterns in there have changed. The same thing here. When you're in a correction, you could have a number of patterns. And since you're forecasting, you're going to forecast, take what you have and see what is the best possible one could happen from this. You don't have to be right about it, but if you're right about it, you get the trade. If you're wrong, you're not in the trade. We're looking for a sell. We didn't get the sell, but we didn't, we're not interested in the buy. We'll be interested in the sell now. That means you take the money and you trade something else that has a pattern that behaves the way you expect it to behave. So you're looking at 52 different patterns. At least 40 of them might go the way you expect them to go and 10 might not. You don't have to trade those 10. Trade the 40 that are moving in the direction you expect them to go. That's all. That's what trading patterns is about. But first you have to understand the patterns. So Euro, you're right. Remember when Euro was spiking up here? I think one of the YouTube traders who's not in my group right now says, hey, you said this thing is going to fall. Look, it's going up. I was like, don't worry, it's going to fall. Literally, I don't know if he should probably come and make the comment here because he wrote me a direct message and said, don't worry, it's still downside. You're just making a bigger flat. It has to break this top. We broke the top once and I said it possibly can break the top again. Now it has to drop beyond this low. Perfect. Because that's what the patterns do 90% of the time. So if you understand that, and if you go back and watch all the webinars, we were selling. We're looking for sells, not buys. So now we broke this, take that out. That was it, sell on Friday, probably closed already. We're consolidating here. And if we consolidate there, we will continue to sell all the way to the 270 and maybe even lower. Is there a chance that this could go back up from here like the dollar index? Is there a chance that this could, maybe just make a small one here, drop here, and then go back up? That possibility still exists. It will still be a running flat and we will still go down. So structurally, it would not change the bigger structure. What would change is only if we get a buy or a sell today. So right now, I think we're looking for a sell setup. It's still a sell setup. That has not changed. It might be a short-term sell. If we take it, every trade we take from now, we'll be very cautious that it might be the last trade before you get a deeper pullback. If it doesn't give a deeper pullback, great, you still sell. Fine. Sideways, this is still a sell setup. It's actually consolidating very nice. So we'll still be looking for sell setups, maybe from a much higher point, depending on how big this consolidation becomes. Aussie. Yeah, one sell, two sell. You're out of those sells here. We should be having a third sell here, but it's making a deeper pullback. So let's see what Aussie looks like right now. Aussie is consolidating for upside. The bigger structure is upside, right? This thing is consolidating downwards for upside. Can it go lower? Of course. Can it pull back, make a bigger consolidation, then go? Absolutely. We don't know what it's going to do and when it's going to go. We're going to track every piece, one piece at a time. So right now, I still think it's a sell setup. This piece is going up a little more. It might just be a bigger flat like this is. So we'll probably look for a bigger correction up and then downside. These were sell setups from last week. So what we look for here now is wait. If this actually come back here, make a flat, we might even consider a short-term sell, because you might end up with a bigger correction before it drops. If you get this, if you don't get a sell, no problem. We don't have a sell setup here. Sorry, if we get the buy, the short-term buy. We don't have a sell setup here as yet. We don't have a buy setup. So we just have to wait until something else happens, and then we'll decide whether we take the buy or the sell in the consolidation, because I still think it's consolidating. New Zealand, same thing. Those were sells, take them off. There, it's making a bigger flat there. Those are small flags. It's a bigger flat. I think we wait on the bigger flat because we don't know yet if it's going to be. It's a sell setup, but you wouldn't sell it here. You sell the flags like that. The flat, we'll have to wait for a setup to sell it. So go on the 4 hour. Yep, let it consolidate some more. By the way, this does have potential to go much lower. Initially, at the start of the year, we were looking at this as a possible correction for upside based on this one. But if you look at the bigger picture, this could, there's a very slight chance that this here could be a running flat. I don't like it structurally the way it looks, but it could be. So we're going to watch this. If it starts to get more aggressive, they'll probably retest this low and then go back up. Potentially, we could get a good drop there, which means since we see the possibility of that existing, what we're going to do is we're going to be tracking each move one at a time. Go back to the 4 hour, consolidate, we'll be selling. We don't have, this is definitely not showing any sign of a buy setup. There isn't a sharp impulse to the upside, so it's actually still consolidating for more down. Yen, yep, we were trying to buy here, and I think we got a few break even. Some of my traders got this one, then we bought this one, and then we bought this one, which is a break even. Right, take it out as a break even. You're getting a bigger consolidation here. And if you get a bigger consolidation here, that means this, come back here, you actually get a flat for upside. Now, this might be the low of that whole structure, because this, we'll have to figure out how we put that, because if this is the low, then there's still a chance you break this top. If this is the low, this could be the start of the move. But because of this move here, normally the ending of the move is not so slow. We're still open to believe this could be a running flat. So what I would watch for at this point is if this makes a bigger flat, we'll buy it. But if it just breaks the top to come back down, and this is where traders, if you're following me for the whole week, you'll probably see how we do this. If it comes here, break the top and start to drop, we will be out of that trade and we'll be looking for sell setups or a bigger flat pattern here before you go, right? It still has one more move up, right? I don't think this would be the start of the downside because we haven't broken this top as yet. And in the bigger picture, we're expecting to break that top, right? We're still expecting that this move here eventually goes and break that top, then come down, right? Remember this one when I started the year, it's going to go up. Well, this is likely, it might get a small consolidation there, then continue to climb to that top. When we break this top, that is when we're going to anticipate the next move down, which might be bigger like this. So keep an eye on that. We'll see how it goes. Can it drop without breaking the top? Of course, that would be a contracting flat, but they're rare. Contracting flats are not so common. So if you're going to look for this buy, you will have to be very, very careful. Right? As because of this piece here, there's a good chance that even if you break that top, you might still come back here. So unless you have the skill level to buy that, you should be very, very cautious of how you buy it. We will buy it because potentially it could take off. And I don't think it's going to take off, but we will not. We don't trade what we think. We trade what the pattern shows us. Right? I'll give you my experience that I don't think it will take off. I think we'll make a new low. But that doesn't mean we don't take the trade. We'll just be more cautious about the trade when we take it, right? We'll be more, probably less risk, probably tighter stops, probably manage it more. And that's one of the main things we do, trade management. CAD, buy, this was a buy, that was a buy. Well, this buy, you probably have closed it here or take break. Even this one, you probably close it there for profit, definitely. It's pulling back. Let's see what the big picture of CAD is. We haven't tagged this low. I was expecting this move to go tag the low. We haven't. Now they don't have to tag the low, right? It's not there. That's not a necessity to tag the low. It could come. But if you notice, this had a deep pullback before we came down. This one had a big running flat here before we came down. There's a good chance this could come back, still tag the low, even though you have a pullback like this. Would we put that pullback as a running flat of this one? It's possible. It's not the best running flat, but it's possible. Would we actually put this as a separate correction of its own? It's a 1, 2, 3 move. It's normally not that sharp. You normally get a bigger correction in the middle like this. But you can make an argument for a 1, 2, 3 downside. So any buy setup here now at the top, which we'll be looking for, would be with caution. If it's going to drop to this level, we'll definitely sell. So in the 1 hour, we don't have a sell setup as yet. And we don't have a buy setup. So we'll have to wait for whichever comes and then we'll go with the trade. Swiss. Definitely looks like a buy setup. Let's see what this looks like here in the 4 hour. It's still going sideways. And we were looking at this pattern this year. We were thinking this here is a running flat. This is a 1, 2, 3. So this one should come back down like this, but it didn't do that. It actually started going down much slower. And it, you know, you've got a running flat in the middle here. You can make an argument for that. You've got a 1, 2, 3 here. And you're in this, all this correction is in this move. So we'll probably be relooking at this entire piece in the middle. You're still in consolidation, right? Because this is your impulse and this is your impulse. So all of this would still be a bigger consolidation. Even if you break that top, the chances are you're still coming down and maybe even more up and down here before you come, right? Because that will change the patterns themselves. So we have a buy setup here. Would we take it? Yeah, probably. Very short term. If it starts to give any sell setup, we'll go for it. Most likely we'll break this top before that happens. All right, so you might get one more move up, break the top, and then come down. There is a buy setup here. If you want to buy it, I'll be very cautious with it though, because you might just break this top and come back. Most likely break this top, then come back. European. Okay, so one sell setup turned out to be a bigger running flat. You can make an argument for this big running flat here. Take that off and take the sell off. You can make an argument for this bigger running flat here. So probably retest the low, then go. We'll not be selling this in any case. We'll be looking for the buy because we have this sharp move here. There's a very sharp move. Now I can see this coming back to break this low. That's a very small trade. If my traders are going to take it, there's a sell setup here. You'll have to be very cautious. You know, be more aware that it might just break the low and go back up like this for a running flat. So this was a sell. This was a sell. I think this was a sell. There was a sell here also. But after that, you have to be careful. Now it's upside. Euros. Okay, we broke the top again. So we did that previously where we broke the top here and then come down. So we'll probably come back somewhere here and still make a new high. We'll probably look at this as the flat. You'll look at this as the flat in there. So we've got an impulse, a flat, an impulse, a flat, probably another impulse. So if we get sell setup, we'll take it. There is no sell setup in here, but if we get any sell setup, we'll go for the trade. Can it still make new highs? Well, if it makes new highs, all you're doing is making a bigger consolidation inside of this. Right? It's not an impulse to the upside. It's more of a bigger consolidation. But if we get sells, we should take it. Every time you break the top, if you get a sell setup, go for it. We don't have any sell setup. It's pretty slow, and it looks more like a consolidation, but not a buy setup. It's starting to drop really fast here. We wanted to drop some more, make the flag, and then go. Can we look at this as a possible running flat? Maybe. This one is very sharp. There is a flat here, but it's very sharp. So we'll keep track of it and see which option is best. The buy is not the great option. The sell is the good one. Eurocat. We're getting a big flat here now. So this should probably go back up, make another flat here. Maybe one more drop, and then we'll look for the upside. So there might be a buy setup here, and then we'll look for the sell. We don't have it right now. It's not a buy setup as yet. It has to consolidate for a buy. You're in New Zealand. Okay, we bought this. It dropped. You took the break even. We actually put it to break even. We were trying to keep it. Now it's gone up. And remember what we said, we'll keep eyes for running flat possibilities if we break the top. So we want this to come down a little more and then go back up. This would be your buy setup. You can put an entry order here, but we'll try to get the buy from the bottom here going up, right? And we will go for the buy. So if it's going to go up with a lot of running flat, at some point we'll have to keep one of them. If we notice that it's making a lot of running flat to the upside, at some point we'll keep one and then we'll go. So I think this one might be just a short running flat here and then the upside, which is an equivalent of this. We don't have a sell setup, so I don't think we should go for any sells there. Probably if it becomes a much more bigger one, then we can go for sells. We can get this and then the upside. We'll try to buy above the top. That is where the entry should be, but we will try to buy it much lower, which means when this comes down on the way up, we will get a buy setup here, we'll take it. Not necessarily where that top is. And if we get in earlier, we'll probably be able to put it like this one. We'll probably be able to put the break even and try to keep this one. It's going up really slow. We're not getting any very, very sharp impulse that I'm expecting. So we might have to start taking small trade profit out until a big one comes, right? And then keep that one. Euro Swiss, it's going back up, but most likely it's a running flat, right? We've got this and we don't have anything for this. So we're assuming that that could just be a running flat, right? You can see from Friday, we were expecting that move up and you're actually getting an active buy setup now. It's an active trade that is ready to go. Euro yen. We're getting a sell here. There was a small flag. They break it. They're making a bigger one here. I'll take out a small one. That's a small one. You're breaking and making a bigger one. So we might retest the low again, which means this might just drop here and then start the up move again. We're still in this sideways move, but we will take this trade at least to break this low and then we'll see how far it goes. Pangos. The downside might be starting for the sharp move. That was the buy on Friday. For those of you who were buying it, this was our buy setup here because we assume we're going to get an impulsive move and then it's going to come back down, close that trade. Look for the downside now. That's your trade coming down. We'll look for the sell setup. We want the flag like this. You get a flag like that, we'll go for it. We're assuming that this here now was going to be the running flat. Right? That's the assumption. I think we're hoping that it's going to be equal. They don't have to be. But that's how we'll start, assuming that it's going to be like that. So any sell setup there will be a good trade. Well, if you were here this morning, some of you should be in that trade already. This is my first time in the trading room. But if you're in the trading room, some of you should be in that trade already for the sell. And then we'll see if we get another sell setup today. We'll probably get much more. Right? You see they had one here and then they had a second one here. So we're hoping for a second sell setup. That'd be good. Pankai. Okay, we did break the low. So I don't think it's a bigger or expanding flat. That would be too big. So I think this might have been the flat, the expanding flat. This is the low and we're going up. We can confirm that if we actually get a consolidation in here. If that happens, then we'll confirm that this is starting the up move. If it comes back down, then that will be one huge big expanding flat, which means this would be the expanding flat. What we need for that, we need a consolidation here. If we get a consolidation here, we're going to sell. If it goes back up to the top, we wait for that consolidation and then buy back to the top. So it doesn't matter which one comes now. Go to the 1 hour and wait for the setups. You don't have either of them. You don't have the sell, you don't have the bias yet. Pound Swiss. Okay, let's see what the big picture is. It's going back to the top, but that doesn't mean that it's going to break out, right? We could probably look at this as an expanding flat. No, I think this one belongs to this here. Probably still go break the top and come back. Most of the time when they went and break the top, it was more of a correction. So it was more very correctively going up. It wasn't a sharp move. This is the first one that's going up sharp. So either we're making a bigger flat there and that will break out, right? Or it's not going to break the top and it's going to drop. So if we get sell set up, we'll go for it. Here's what we'll do. We'll track this here. And if we get any sell set up, we'll go for it. We'll assume that it's not going to break the top. If you're going to buy, if you have a buy setup, considering that the buy might not break the top. So if you get a flag here for a buy, right, it might go back up there without breaking this top. So you might just get an impulse, pull back, an impulse, pull back, and then eventually you get this. We will not go long term until we break out of that top. Actually, if you break the top very violently, then we wait for the pullback and then go long term for the upside. There's a big trade to the upside long term. Short term, it could drop again. You're in this daily corrective structure. See? So short term, we can come back, we can drop from here and retest this low and then go out. But if they go out of this, especially if it pulls back and then go, that'd be a perfect one. If it consolidates here, we'll start to buy up for longer term trade. So it will depend on what happens at this point. During the week, if you're following us again, if you're one of my YouTube followers and you have reached this level and you follow me, you'll probably see how we manage that trade, how we look at it when we take trades and how we manage it. You're getting some divergence, so I probably think we're going to get the downside first. For my traders, you know how to trade that to the downside if it starts to go, right? And if it's going to drop suddenly. This was the flat. This was a sharp move down. We had a sharp move here. We had a sharp move here, so this was probably a running flat there. So we could still get this here. We could get a sharp move here, could make a running flat here, go back up there, and then no. So you will put your entry orders in, ready for the trade. Pound yen, consolidating. You got a bigger flat, and this is what I was explaining last week in the trading room. Don't take the trade. The reason we put it here is because this could become a bigger flat here. But now that you have the bigger flat there and you're going up, you move that entry order way up to the top here now. So those of you who weren't in our room last week for the entire week, we were tracking this corrective structure up. And as it starts to consolidate there, we realize that this is more of a consolidation. This should go up, and that is why we keep the entry order here in case, just in case it drops. But it didn't, and we didn't expect it to. Now that it has broken the top and we have a running flat there that broke the top, your entry order goes up to that level for the sell. So if this breaks the top and drop, it's a sell. Can you buy in that going up? Yes, you can. If it's going to go up, you can still buy. You'll have to wait for a flag here. And then you'll buy for one impulse. Every single impulse could be the last one. So if you buy this, you have to take the profit off. You have to be there in and out very quick. Can this go break the top? Although it's so slow starting, it's rare, but it's possible. This one had a big flat at the bottom here, and then they went back all the way to the top there. So I wouldn't exclude the possibility that this could go tag the top and then come back up. Right. Right now, it's all going in a big sideways move. So I think the downside is more likely to happen. Pound New Zealand went up some more. We were not buying at the top here, and we will never buy at the top there in a pattern looking like this. So what I'll expect is either two things: you come down very sharp here, and then go back up, we'll buy, or it consolidates here, and then we'll consider any buy. Instead of the Pound New Zealand, we're buying the Euro New Zealand, right? This is in a big structure for downside. The Euro New Zealand is in a big structure for upside. So eventually this should drop and break the low, even if they tag this stuff. This whole thing is a big correction. So rather than buy this, you buy the Euro New Zealand for the trade. It's the same thing, same trade, same setups. It's mostly powered by the New Zealand dollar. You're getting a kind of a flat there, but I don't like to buy there, especially at the top of the structure. Aussie yen, drop, sell, take profit, get out of it. Right? We're still doing this. So it needs to break out before we get any buy setup. Let's see what's the bigger picture. And the bigger picture can still go up. See this deep pullback, they still went up. So this deep pullback doesn't mean anything. We can still go back there. So we'll keep an eye out for the buy setup, which means if this breaks out, give us a flag, we'll take the trade. Actually, if we get a flag here, we'll take the trade to the upside. But if it breaks out here and then make a flag, we'll still take the trade. The only way we'll get a sell setup here if it starts to consolidate. If this literally starts to consolidate, can we look at this as a possible running flat in the middle for one more down there? And this is the correction. Yeah, possible. Let it drop, make a flag, and then we'll look for a sell. The sell is short term. It's only a small trade. The buy is a longer term trade. So hope that we get the buy setup, because the buy is a longer term trade. You will have much more risk to reward in the buy. The sell is probably a 1-to-1 if you take it. Aussie Swiss. We might be finally getting that upside, or we might still stay in consolidation, right? This went up, we bought it, didn't go all the way, no problem. You got out of that trade for positive. You're kind of consolidating here too. So this whole thing is a big consolidation. If we do get the buy, would be okay. If this actually starts going up, we'll go for the buy. All they need to do is break this down, and then we're going to expect the downside. If you start getting much bigger consolidation in here, then that might change. This did have a pullback here and go, right? So this pullback is not a problem. It could go from here, break the top, and then downside. This would be one big flat for downside. So we'll try to get that trade up, break the top, and then we'll try to get a sell down. And all of that could happen this week. Do we have any buy set up here? Nope, definitely not. Can it drop some more? Yeah, possible. We're not interested in the sell. Sell something else. Aussie CAD. You'd probably sell the Aussie CAD. Turn out a contracting flat. Look for another sell setup if you get it. It's a sell setup forming there. We're in this big structure. Let's see where we're in the daily. Correction. I still think this is a correction. I don't think this one has that. We'll have to look for more charts, but I don't think it has the same structure as the other Aussie pairs or the New Zealand pair, for example. So I will go with this as a contracting flat. We did look at that option. Remember, some of you sold it from in there, hoping that it was that. Some of you sold it here. Some of you sold it here, and we're looking for this could be a sell setup here if it starts to drop. What if this actually goes back higher and start that move? Well, we'll see it. Let's see if we had any buy setup. No, this is not a buy setup. So we'll wait for the sell. If it really spikes much higher and give a flag, then it will become a buy. So right now it's a sell setup. Aussie, New Zealand. This looks like it's breaking out of this correction. What's the upside? But you're probably going to have a running flat because we have this here. So you're probably going to do this, come back here, and then go. That'd be a perfect running flat pattern. See? There's a buy setup to the upside, short term. CAD, still consolidating. It's going back up, but it's still a consolidation. So this didn't drop. You're getting a big consolidation here. That smells downside, right? You're looking at a big consolidation like this, doing like this. And once it gets to the top, this one should come back here. So structurally, if this is a big correction here, you'd expect it to go down. And we'll see if that happens. This was a big one that looks like a correction. It turned out to be more of a bigger like this. So you get this one, you get that, and then you get a drop. Did break the low, then you go back up. So this, even if it comes and break the top, which is likely going to do, this is downside. So let's see where we have it in the one, or do we have any buy setup in it? Short term, there's a buy setup. This was a good sell, by the way, last week. Short term, there's a buy setup here. This would probably only tag this. We were hoping that this would drop, but that didn't drop. But worst case, you got out for positive, right? Break even, you should get that. So we get a flag here. We could consider this trade to break this top. Very short. I'll be very careful. Probably let it break the top and then look for the sell. That might be a better option because we're not sure how it's going to behave in there. Take this off. This, we're looking for more downside than upside, at least back to this level, and then we'll see what happens from there, right? come back to this level here, and then we'll see, at least break this low, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Swiss yen. We didn't get this sharp move up. So we're still open for possibly one more move up. And we don't have a buy setup though. It's more of a sell setup within this one. So within this piece here, it's still a sell. Probably put the sell setup here. Let's see how far it goes. We might get a long drawn out running flat. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do drop here and then go back up. That would still be a running flat. Maybe even from this one, take it from that. So it's a sell setup, take the trade. New Zealand yen. That was a nice sell, perfect. Drop, take it off, let's see what this has. Let's go to the bigger picture, see if upside is possible. Yep, upside still possible. Right, do we have this bigger move now? Now that we broke the low, we can go with this bigger move here. Right, if this is the end of the structure, do we have divergence? Yeah, we do. Go to the 4 hour. Yeah, we do. Go to the 1 hour. Absolutely. So the question is whether this is a deeper correction or a reversal. So this was a good sell, 2 sells. First sell, close, break even. Second sell, perfect. This was a sell, break even. This was a sell, you took profit. Right? So now we're here. Let's see what happens at this point. Not a good buy setup. There's a very small one. If this makes a good flag, probably I wanted to go up higher like this and then give us this flag for the buy. That would be a perfect buy setup. So if it's reversing, that would be the buy setup. Could it be that it's still going down? If we decide that this was the correction here, and this is a running flat, your entry should be here. If you're looking at it as a running flat possible, then your entry should be here for the sell. If you're looking at it as a reversal, you'll have to wait for it to go up some more, make a flag, and then go for this one. So it depends on which of those two patterns you think is correct. Either could be. So we just have to wait and see. New Zealand Swiss, same here. Broke, it's going back up. It could be a bigger correction. It could be a reversal. We'll just have to wait. No trade setups on this as yet. It doesn't matter which one, we'll still get a trade. It's early to get any trade yet. New Zealand CAD dropped quite a lot. So let's see if we have any buy setup in it. Nope, not as yet. It's still in the downtrend. So wait for a breakout, wait for a flag, and then we'll consider. I don't think we should be selling in here. Wait for the breakout of that. You can put an entry order here. For my traders, we can put an entry order here. You know how to manage that trade. CAD Swiss. That was a sell close. Should we put the sell here? No, probably take that off for now. Is it going to go up and break out? It possibly could, but I don't think we're going to do that either. I don't think we're going to break out of the top as yet. We'll have to wait some more on this. And okay, if you got into this trade, you probably will take it off because there's a chance it's going to come back down. There's a good chance it's going to come back down here and then go. We'll be looking at a possible running flat. So if you don't have positive on the traders yet, get out, wait for a flag above the top, or wait for it to pull back and then buy. Let's go. I think we made this in about 30 minutes. Maybe we should make it in one full thing. Yeah, I'll just go very fast because we're doing daily, so I'll have more details later on. So let me go through with this very quick. US oil, UK oil, sorry. If you bought, close, re-enter above the top. There's a small flag here, but use the running flat. It's probably a series of running flat we're going to have. Same thing with the UK oil. Right, if you bought, you probably want to wait for this to get break even if you were in the trade. If you're not in the trade, then put an entry above the top. Natural gas. Yeah, it could come back down from here. So if you start to get sell setups, because we might be looking at this bigger flat. If you start to get sell setups, it come back all the way back to this level. We don't have any trade setups on it. US 30. Consolidating, that should be a drop coming. We don't have, you're not buying at the top of that. If you're going to buy, it has to be from the bottom upwards, right? I think we discussed this last week. So any buying should be from here going up. At the top there, you're actually looking for a sell. Because anytime this thing could drop. Same thing should be for SPS, yeah, same thing, right? It could drop anytime, so you probably wait for the sell. If you're going to buy, if you're going to get any buy setup, if this is a flat for upside, it has to break the top, make a flag, and then go. Right now, it's a sell setup. So any sell you get in it, perfect. NASDAQ, same thing. Right? If it's a big flat for sell. If it's going to become a buy, let's assume this here would be a bigger flat for upside. Right? If you take this as a big flat for upside, it has to break the top, make flag, and then buy. Otherwise, to that, you're expecting the sell. PayPal. It's consolidating. It'll probably spend some time here consolidating. And then you get one more sell. I don't see the reversals yet. Same here. This could go both ways, right? We could either get a big consolidation here and we drop one more break below, then go back up. Or this could just go back up like this. Now, do we have a buy setup? Nope, we don't. Do we have a sell setup? No, we don't. You're not buying above that top, especially with possibility for downside. You need a flag above there, and the sell, you need to drop on a flag for a sell. Nifty. Also consolidating. This would probably consolidate some more. And then we can look for the sell. Amazon consolidating for a sell, a bigger consolidation. That's a sell setup. Where would this take us? Much lower. We'll see. Maybe this is the top of Amazon. Remember, we were thinking this here was the flat. That this would be the flat here. And this was the up move, but then it stopped. It came here. It actually made a very deep pullback here. Which makes me think we're still in the correction. That all of this is still the correction. But as it develops, that might change. So right now it's a sell setup. And if that starts to fall, this will be the top of it. Right? It wasn't that clear that that was the top because of this deep pullback. So for now, I'll still watch all of this as a possible big correction. But we'll see if it keeps dropping. That would be a good sign that, you know, we're probably topped out already and coming down. But this is a sell, which just like this was a sell. It doesn't matter. We will take the trades as we get them, and then we'll figure out the bigger picture. Tesla. Yep, was a sell. From this point, it could become a buy. Keep your eyes on it. We could probably work our way back to the top there. Maybe even break out. Maybe come back down again. Let's go for this. Okay, this broke to the downside. So what's the big picture? We'll have to go with this is the bigger correction, this piece here. And this is a contracting flat so far. If it doesn't come back up, this is a contracting flat. But if you do come back up, it will be a running flat, which means if this come back up here, we can go with a running flat. So which one is it? No idea. It doesn't matter which one is it, right? If you get a flag here, sell. If it pulls back like this, give you a flag here, sell. You don't have a buy setup. There isn't a buy setup on this as yet. Nothing, and this is telling us it's going to go up. It's going to go down some more. And if it comes down some more, we're probably coming for this level, right? To break this low. So we'd look for trade setups there. Any flag you get, you'll take the trade. Right? Let's go. Bitcoin. Okay, we're consolidating at the top. If you bought that, you close it since last week. And you're getting a sharp move down, just like this sharp move down. So you might be making a bigger running flat here. And that could possibly mean one more up, right? Take this off. If that turned out to be what we think it is, which is this is here, a big flat. And if we look at that one, this one would be a smaller one in here. We looked at both of those possibilities last week, because if they go up slow like this and they come back here, that would be a bigger flat. Break this low. If after that you get any buy setup here, that's a perfect buy. So once we get any buy setup in this, it would be a buy. And the reason this correction might be over, it doesn't mean it can't drop more, is because these two are almost equal. Now that doesn't mean anything. There's no rule that says they have to be equal, right? Absolutely. We just assume that they could be equal. We do have some divergence. That doesn't mean this thing doesn't drop some more and then go back up. All you'll have is an expanding flat. Now there's a good chance that this here could be the start of that up move. So if you get the buy setup, you would absolutely take it, which means come on the 4 hour. If this comes to this level here and start to go up, that's a good buy. Literally, that's a good buy. Same thing for the 1 hour. You might get a short-term sell setup back to this level, but I'll be looking at this low. You want them to break it. And as soon as you break this low, if you turn, you're going for the buy setup. Right? That's how I'll treat it. Ethereum, let's see what the big picture says. Same here, you don't have to go down much lower. You could make an argument that this is equivalent to this, but it might still drop. I'm not looking at any possible contracting flat here as the top. That is also possible. We're not looking at that possibility yet, which means we were selling this and selling. This was a sell. You've got another sell there that became a break even. If we get another sell today, we'll take it. What will be the sell? This has to come back here, go back up there, give us this, and then we'll go with a sell. Can it become a buy? Well, if it actually stops here and start to go back, you might want to consider the buy. Because this is an impulse and this could be a suddenly big impulse. So you might want to go with the buy. We'll just have to wait and see which one we get. This is most likely a sell, regardless. I don't think it's a sell now, but it's a sell, right? Because this is sharp and this is sharp and this one is relatively sharp, but this is not going down. You're getting a flat here, come back here, go back up, come back, go back up. If you get that, then it's a sell. So if you trade, you're trading in that range for now. I'm on the 4 hours, so that range might be a trading range for some traders. Within that range only. That's what I think it's doing. So you'll have to wait. This same, it looks more downside than upside, and it's a bigger flat, which means maybe the rest of them just go down. It might come here, go back up there, give you a running flat, and then drop. It's more of a downside than the upside. Let's see the linked. This one could go back up from here. Let's see. Yeah, you broke the low. It's in a big sideways move. So the question is whether it will go back up to this top first and then come down, or if it's going to drop from here. I think that's the only question you have right now. Right now, it's not looking so upside, right? Because we broke down, we broke the low, but we're not going up very aggressively. We're doing this. And if you keep doing that, which means if it comes back here and go back up there, that might be just a flat for downside. So during the week, we'll track it and we'll tell you which options we think is the best. XRP, sell setup. Watch this low. Once we break that low, we're ready to go. Remember last week we were saying we want to break that low. So now I can move this here from there to here now. Because that is already gone. There's a good chance we're going to break that low and then go back up. This is going sideways. I was expecting some more up here. And then they drop. They actually drop with it. I don't know if you're trading it, you hope you get some sell there. I don't see the sell setup, but if you're in the sell, good. You shouldn't be in the buyers yet. It's going down more. Where the hell is it going to? This could start to be a really deeper correction. I don't know. This is all the chart I have. That's not enough information to look at the bigger picture. All you have is an up move. So coming down is the first correction. Autumn. This has a lot of, so you can make, you can make decisions on this. This will probably come to this level and then we'll probably go back up, right? So let's see in the 4 hour. You can make forecasts on this, come down some more. It could probably come and break this low. Look for sell setups. Look for flags, sell them. This is the sell setup. You're getting a flat here, which would probably go one more up, but then if the big picture is a sell setup. Could it be that this is the running flat and that's the end of it? That is also possible. So if you make a flag, take this off. Don't put this here because if that's a flat, it's going to go back up. So keep it under the low. This could come here and go back up and this would be a flat, right? We could go back there, pull back here, go again, make a running flat like this, and then drop, right? That possibility. So what would be my sell setup? Well, it has to make a flag here. And now I'll consider that sell. Right? If it goes back up, you may or may not get the buy, but it's short term. Same thing, sell setup. It's consolidating for a drop. This is consolidating for a drop. So far, this is consolidating for a drop. Short term, it should go up one more. I'll take this as a running flat. So this should go up one more and then come down. And .USD, this is also consolidating. You're breaking out of this. So it's still more downside, but I don't think it's right now downside because you've got a big flat inside of this. So it's probably just come here, go back up there, do something like this, and then drop. And they're all in a big incomplete corrective structure. And dash. Pretty much the same thing. You're breaking out of this, but you have this sharp one up here. So there's a good chance that this comes here, go back up like this, make a sharp one like that, and then drop. We're looking for those patterns. If they develop differently during the week, I'll show you. So basically that's it. So okay, guys, if we managed to fix everything in one webinar, it's a little long, but traders would know to scroll through and find what they're interested in. Please share it. If you're here and you like it, please share it. We'll see all of you tomorrow, right? Everybody else see tomorrow. Take care. My traders, see you in the trading room later.